What is the Oneplus 5? With the OnePlus 3, the Chinese startup finally made a phone that was nearly perfect. There's no OnePlus 4 this year, but instead the OnePlus 5 takes things up another level with a seriously packed spec sheet, and a higher price. The headline feature here is an interesting dual-camera setup on the back, but in typical OnePlus fashion there's a serious amount of power and the option of a frankly ridiculous 8GB of RAM. £4.449/$479, the OnePlus 5 is a fantastic deal, but the higher price necessitates a more critical look at some of its shortcomings. There are a few missing features and some odd omissions, but this is still one of the best tech bargains. Key feature. 1. Review price, £449. 2. 5.5-inch 1080p screen. 3. Snapdragon 835. 4. 6 or 8 GB RAM. 5. 64 or 128 GB storage. 6. Dash charge. Oneplus 5 design. The OnePlus 5 is a really good-looking phone, but it's not the most original. The back reminds me of a slightly curvier matte black iPhone 7 Plus, right down to the camera arrangement, the blended antenna lines and even the flash. Oneplus 5 screen. OnePlus has stepped up the game in the vast majority of areas this year, but on paper at least the screen feels very much the same. It's still a 5.5-inch AMOLED panel, which is still 1080p as opposed to the more common Quad HD resolution. The display now covers the wide DCI-P3 color gamut, like the iPhone 7 and Galaxy S8, and this is my preferred color profile. It gives colors more of a punch, without oversaturating, and there's more variety in the shades. There's an sRGB mode too that removes a bit of the punch, and a default mode that feels to me a bit too colorful. Oneplus 5 screen. The OnePlus 5 could very well be the fastest phone I have ever used, and it certainly has the most drool-worthy spec sheet of any phone out there. The Snapdragon 835 runs the show, and it's a very good SoC. Along with being speedy, it's efficient and each phone that's powered by it does get better battery life. There's the Adreno 540 GPU, which can comfortably handle any 3D game on Google Play. And there's super fast UFS 2.1 storage that helps load times. You can choose between a 64GB and 128GB model, but pick wisely as there's no expandable storage. Then there's probably the biggest point of overkill in this phone, the RAM. My review unit has 8GB of LPDDR4X RAM, which is double that of the Samsung Galaxy S8 and the same as a £2,000 MacBook Pro. Frankly, it's complete overkill and 4GB of RAM is more than enough for an Android phone. Apps do stay in memory longer, but sometimes it doesn't feel like it's really using all that RAM. It's a nice spec to boast about, but really you won't notice it that much. Oneplus 5 software. Some in the office disagree, but in my eyes OxygenOS is the best Android skin on any phone, and in some ways it's even better than the version you get on the Pixel and Pixel XL. Oneplus 5 camera. All the hype from OnePlus in the run-up to this launch has surrounded the camera. The tagline dual camera. One is your regular sensor, which here is a Sony IMX398 sensor with 16 megapixels and an f/1.7 lens. Next to it sits the telephoto lens, for 2x zoom, which is 20 megapixel with a much narrower f/2.6 aperture. It's certainly an interesting setup, and I much prefer a dual camera arrangement like this over Huawei's monochrome and RGB pairing.